All right. Let me break down what's happening with Trump's January 6th case. So even though the 2024 presidential election is fast approaching, the judge in Trump's case, U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan, has made it clear that the election schedule isn't going to affect the trial timeline. She's not concerned about the fact that Trump, who is the Republican nominee, is in the middle of a campaign. Basically, this case is going to keep moving forward. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Trump didn't show up to the court hearing this past Thursday in D.C., but his legal team entered a not guilty plea for him. This is tied to the 4 charges in the indictment brought by special counsel Jack Smith, which haven't changed. Now, Trump's team has been fighting this case for months, claiming he has presidential immunity, and they even took it all the way to the Supreme Court. But the case is no longer on hold since the Supreme Court sent it back down, saying that former presidents do have some immunity for their official duties, but not for personal actions. This leaves Judge Chutkan with the job of figuring out what parts of the indictment fall under Trump's official presidential acts and what's considered personal conduct. Even though Chutkan hasn't made a ruling on the immunity issue yet, the case could finally move forward as early as this week. Prosecutors are saying they're ready to pick it back up, while Trump's lawyers are asking for more time to review everything, especially the new indictment that came out. They're also arguing that the speed at which the government wants to move is unfair, considering the political climate. But Chutkan didn't seem too concerned about that, saying 3 weeks is hardly moving at a breakneck speed. A key argument Trump's legal team is pushing is that the communications with Mike Pence leading up to January 6th should be considered part of his official duties, which would give him immunity. They're saying that if these communications are protected, the entire indictment falls apart. But Chutkan didn't seem to agree with that interpretation. Prosecutors, on the other hand, are arguing that Trump's actions described in the indictment were all private, and they're preparing to lay out their case in an opening brief, possibly by the end of September. Meanwhile, Trump's team is planning to challenge the legitimacy of the indictment, similar to what they did in Florida with the classified documents case. That's where a judge who's appointed by Trump dismissed some charges by arguing that Jack Smith, the special counsel, wasn't appointed legally. Chutkan has said Trump's team can file their motion to dismiss, but they'll need strong arguments to back up their claims, especially since the special prosecutor role has a longstanding legal precedent. Now, let's talk about the charges. Trump is facing a number of serious allegations: a conspiracy to defraud, the U.S. conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. These charges are based on his alleged role in trying to create fake electors from 7 states and spreading false information that ultimately led to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. The latest indictment that came out on August 27 was revised to reflect the Supreme Court's recent rulings on immunity. The new version leaves out any allegations that Trump pressured Justice Department officials to interfere with state election results, but focuses more on Trump's personal use of social media and his efforts to pressure Pence to accept fake electors. Now, if Trump wins the 2024 election, he could potentially have the power to either stall or stop the case against him altogether. But if he loses, the case could still be drawn out with further delays and appeals, potentially all the way back to the Supreme Court. Trump's legal team has already signaled they're going to argue that his tweets and communications about the election should be considered official acts. They're also planning to file a motion to dismiss based on a recent Supreme Court ruling involving a January 6 rioter. That ruling said the rioter couldn't be charged with obstructing an official proceeding, which is a charge Trump is also facing. So they're hoping that ruling could help them get the case against Trump dropped. That's the latest on Trump's January 6 case. It's a complex legal battle that's going to play out right alongside his 2024 presidential campaign. And no matter what happens, this case is going to have huge political implications.